147974.
All right, Scotty. You want to get right into it? I want to hear what story you have picked for today's Minisode.
You know, I do have a good one. And also,
okay.
I'm not sure. Is this coming out on New Year's Eve? Is this a New Year's Eve episode?
This is a New Year's Eve episode, pal.
We'll do some more New Year's Eve stuff in the future, but
well, wait. We do have to talk about we've never talked about the pants party.
We've never talked about my pants cutting parties, and okay.
All right, let's talk about that first.
Happy New Year's Eve, everybody. The Great Quar continues, but the worst year in modern history appears to be ending on Thursday or tonight. So I'm a big believer, Kurt knows this, that the more you go looking for a good time instead of creating a good time, you'll never find a good time. So people that drive around all night, we did this in high school. I'm sure you did this in high school, Kurt, where you'd go to one party and your friend had a car and you'd hear about another one, you'd go to that one, and then you hear about another one, and then you ultimately end up at like a Burger King parking lot at midnight eating French fries. And that was the best time of the night. So I don't like New Year's Eve. When I was living in New York and was broke and didn't really want to go spend bottle service or, I don't know, $50 to get a champagne toast at midnight. I had a few friends over, Brendan and Bryce, and who you know, and his younger brother Bjorn. And we went out and had a couple beers, and we ate some dinner. We came back to my house, and we decided to start a tradition where starting at 9:30 on New Year's Eve, you start cutting each other's pants off 5 inches at a time until midnight. So, Kurt, you came to a bunch of these, but I would pick a loose theme. So, like corduroys and turtlenecks, or Michael Jackson shirts and sweatpants, or denim on denim. And then people would show up to this party. The first year, there were 6 of us. The second year, there were about 20. And the few that you came to, Kurt, there were probably 50,
people there.
70 people in a Brooklyn apartment, which is like a clown car.
Yeah.
And the idea is you can't cut your own pants off. So people would show up with scissors in their simple theme. And then starting at 9:30, everybody would yell first cut. And you'd have to find somebody you knew or didn't know. And they would cut 5 inches of your pants off. And then half an hour would go by. And you'd make a pile, like a pile of leaves. It was the most fun. I'm going to bring it back in LA. I did.
Well, you got to bring it back. It is, to hear the idea, you're like, sounds interesting. But then when you're involved in it, it is truly, not only is it a unifying, there's a vulnerability involved. Like you have to let someone use scissors around your leg. They're drunk. There's definitely a drunk person. You're drunk. They're drunk. And they could definitely hurt you. That vulnerability. And then also, like, as it gets closer to midnight, eventually everybody's in short shorts, like
the shortest
like
shorts.
hot pants, short shorts. By midnight, everyone's in hot pants, and it's just like this celebration of love and vulnerability. It's so much. And then everybody's diving into the piles of cut off pants.
People slide through the file, like the pile of cut pants, and people get the first few years, it was hard to get. Kristen came to an early one, but it was hard to get people, and then they would see the pictures. There was a great woman who took the cuttings and stitched it into a dress for the next year. There were people that would pick up piles of cut pants and throw them into my fan and then spray people with cut pants.
I remember that. It was just because the fan was always going, because it's a Brooklyn apartment, which is at 110 degrees at all times. So all the windows are open and there's a ceiling fan going on. And you would just throw them up and then it would just scatter pant legs everywhere.
And then by, like you said, last cut would usually be midnight or 12:30, but by that cut, like, strangers were best friends because they're cutting up deep thigh. I mean, you're seeing nards and tips of ding-dongs. You're seeing butt cheeks hanging out. But everybody's having such a fun time, and everybody's doing it, that there's really no shame. It's just total fun and openness. And then it got to the point where people start cutting their shirts open and their shoulders off and the holes around their nipples. And I've lived in LA for 8 years, and all 8 years I've had former New York friends be like, "You're going to do the pants cutting party," and I'm like, "I will. I can't do it this year. I'm going to be out of town or whatever, but I am going to bring it back." So I encourage the Bananimals. It's probably not enough time, but starting at 9:30, you cut about 4 to 5 inches off, just straight across, up and across. You can't cut your own, and then you cut every half hour. And trust me, people get really excited. There were dozens of people over the years that showed up not understanding the party, wearing very expensive 7 jeans, paper denim jeans, and they would be like, "You know what? Screw it. Cut my pants off." And I'm going to do a big one next year, but if you're bored this year and you're alone, just you and your roommate, and you have an old pair of crappy chinos that you don't like and you need to spice it up, cut your pants off. Have some
decency. Cut your pants off. All right, give us a story time.
Yeah, we'll do a bigger one at some point, but this one is from Travis Winchell. He DM'd us. Thank you, Travis. Or Winchell. Maybe Winchell. Care to hear about... Oh, Banana's phone is ringing in my hand.
Here we go. Live answer. Here we go.
Banana's phone. This is Scotty. You're live on a Minisode.
Really, Scotty? That's amazing. Because I'm calling... Do you remember I called about 2 weeks ago to tell you about my son in the hospital and how you guys been helping us get through this difficult time?
Yes, we did. I'm turning you up a little bit. Okay, so you called 2 weeks ago telling us about your son who is having a difficult time in the hospital.
Well, after about 2 months on Christmas Eve, he was able to come home.
Yes!
I just wanted to update you, and then again, thank you and Kurt for helping us through this difficult time.
Oh, yeah, we're celebrating. That's
finger guns.
Woo!
So, thank you very much. We appreciate the brevity in this difficult time.
Oh, well, we're so happy for you, and this episode's going to be a minisode that comes out on New Year's Eve, so we're so glad that you get to celebrate 2021 rolling in with your son. I hope everybody's healthy and happy.
Yep, everyone's home and doing good, so...
Thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate it, and thanks for the update. We hope you guys have a much, much, much better year next year.
Thanks.
Take care.
Oh, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, maybe as the collective, we should just call ourselves the bunch.
The Bananimals in a group is a bunch of Bananimals. That sounds great to us.
There's a bunch of bananas. I'm just saying.
It's a good pitch.
Up to you.
Well, take care, and thank you again. We really appreciate it.
Look at this.
Bye.
What a great one. That's a perfect one for New Year's Eve. It's a perfect one. That's serendipity.
It's so fun. That's it. All right. Now I got to Venmo my friend Roger $15 for calling in. No. Thank you so much. Okay, so here we go. Care to hear about the most bananas airplane passenger I've ever had the pleasure of flying with? Kurt?
Yep.
This is from Travis. This took place in the spring of 2018. It's 7:30 a.m., and I have a coworker named Kurt, same spelling, and we boarded a plane to Sacramento from Denver for a trade show. We rarely get to catch up in person, so it was really lucky that the two of us were seated together. The plane takes off as usual, and Kurt and I are having a great time chatting. A half hour goes by, and we begin to notice the woman alone in the row behind us is fidgeting around more and more and bumping into our seats with more and more aggression. I glance back to see what's going on and notice that she has a purse filled, in caps, with mini bottles of vodka. She then drops her phone accidentally into the aisle, which unplugs her headphones, causing her phone to loudly play Nickelback. Butt Rock's best band. While wrangling her phone back into her possession, she attempted to make friends with the gentleman across the aisle and asked for a bite of his breakfast sandwich.
No, she did not.
When the man declined to share his sandwich, she stands up and responded by screaming, "This guy fucking hates me," and then began to cry. Oh my God. She then, "This guy fucking hates me," and begins to cry. She then knocks over her purse, spilling no fewer than 25 mini bottles of vodka into the aisle.
Wow.
This obviously alerts the flight attendants, who confiscate her purse and sternly warn her to calm down. By this point, we're nearly in Sacramento, and my friend Kurt and I have focused all of our attention on this lady and haven't spent a minute even catching up. We land, and this woman immediately gets on the phone with her boyfriend and begins to talk quite graphically about what she wants to do to him when she gets home. It was sex. Wow. A lot of sex. As soon as we get off the plane, there are 2 Sacramento cops waiting to arrest her. And all of this happened before 10 a.m.
No. Oh,
it's a 7 a.m. flight from Denver to Sacramento. She is my hero, and I hope she is well.
Because also Denver to Sacramento is not a super long flight. It's maybe an hour and a half, I think.
No. God.
Oh, man.
This is so funny to me. Just the not drunkenly asking someone for their sandwich on a flight and then yelling, "This guy effing hates me," and beginning to cry is the greatest. It's like Bridesmaids.
It really is perfect. I was always surprised to find out that it is illegal to bring your own liquor onto an airplane. I always thought, that's a great idea to do that. I always thought that would be a great idea.
And they make really, the airplane bottles are just in title.
Yeah, exactly. Those are just for the airplane. The airplane's allowed to have
Oh, I didn't know. After 9/11, 2001, a friend of mine in Florida was getting a divorce in November. So it was pretty soon after.
Yeah.
And I was young and broke, so I flew AirTran. He asked me to come see him. AirTran is no more. I think maybe Southwest bought them. I don't know. I don't follow airlines. But he was like, "Can you come down?" I was like, "Sure, buddy." So we route through Memphis or whatever, and we go down. On the way back up, I'm still a little nervous. I mean, it was such a shocking thing, obviously, and I was flying back to Massachusetts where 2 of the planes had taken off out of Logan.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And so I was like, I guess the way to say it is more anxiety than I feel normally, and then also a hyper alertness that, like, pay attention to everybody. If somebody unclips their seatbelt during takeoff, you're like, "Who are you? What are you doing?"
Yeah.
So I get on this plane, and we're flying back from Pensacola to Boston. And the woman next to me goes, "Do you think there's a terrorist on this plane?" She's like 50.
No, she does not.
50-year-old white woman, didn't get her name, looked like a Donna, could have been a Donna, maybe a Deb.
Yeah.
And she's like, "I'm very nervous." And I was like, "It's okay." She goes, "Can I show you something?" I said, "Okay." She goes, "It really calms me down." And I said, "Sure, whatever you want. I'm nervous. I'm 19 years old or 20 years old." And she reaches into her giant purse and pulls out a photo book, a photo album. She goes, "These are my 2 dogs. And on the first page are 2 pugs at like an Olin... like an Olin Mills photo shoot. Just 2 dogs like children, just looking just big, dumb, pug-eyed right at the camera." And she turns the first page, and the first page is the movie.
This is an actual book.
This is a hard copy color photo album. So like 2, I don't know what size, 4x6, so it's like 8 inch. So it's 2 photos. It's like top and bottom.
Oh, wow.
It's very thick. The first photo I see is the poster for Backdraft and the 2 pugs dressed as firemen.
No.
She goes, "I love dressing my dogs up as famous movie posters." And I was like, okay. What? I know. Page 2, Top Gun. 2 pugs, one in a bomber jacket, one in a blonde Kelly McGillis wig or whatever her name was. Top Gun poster with the movie dogs. We're talking Casablanca. We're talking Gladiator. It was like... And it was just 2 pugs that looked terrified for their life, dressed up. And she goes, "Isn't this just so funny?" And it honestly, it did calm me down a little bit.
Also, it is funny.
It's hilarious.
The weirdest thing, not only to do, but then to show a stranger on an airplane to calm them down post 9/11.
Yes. And I'm a very generous audience. I was going like, "This is so cool. this is so cool. And it's just like out of Africa. And I'm like, is that the Robert Redford? And it's just a pug with like a mop wig on it. And then I had this other, so she's like, are you flying through to Chicago or whatever? I go, no, I'm going back to Mass. And she goes, oh yeah, we're transferring to Baltimore. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, then I started to have the thought that if there was a terrorist on that plane, and with a plane crashed, and that photo album leapt from her bag into my dead lap and arms, and then my family was like, did Scotty have a weird thing for pugs? And dressing them up like movie posters? The Backdraft one is, you know how certain images are just seared into your head? I did not, I thought she was going to show me her kids or her husband or her houseboat. I didn't know what was going on, but just seeing two dogs dressed as firemen with Backdraft font, the flames, the axes. That's why we get that's why we get on planes, guys. Be a good plane neighbor.
Someday, I just wish we could find that woman, because I want to see, not only do I want to see the photos, I want to have her on the show. I want to be her best friend.
Yeah. She was a really nice woman, but yeah, she was just like, this calms me down. And then I was like, this is going to confuse everybody if I die. And they will really be like, this guy was a cinephile and loved dogs.
And a pugophile. So we got this one. We got a story sent in from Caitlin McKenna, sent it to the Bananas email, the Bananas
Thank
Podcast.
You, Caitlin.
She says, "G'day, Kurt and Scotty." I'm assuming she's from Australia. As you can probably tell from my greeting, I am from Australia, and boy, do I have a banana story for you. Some background. I work in a children's hospital as a scientist performing a test that involves putting a cap filled with electrodes on patients' heads and recording for up to 30 minutes. Because children have a healthy level of suspicion, I am no stranger to side eyes, and kids just decided to crack it on a whim. Crack it, I think, means to like start crying and like lose it. I'm assuming.
Oh, okay. Poor little
one
guys.
day in the waiting room was a 3.5-year-old girl with her mom, dad, and baby sister. She's pretty quiet, but my colleague and I can tell that she's nervous. When we call her in, we offer to put the Wiggles or Peppa Pig on, and her mom declines, saying that she has brought the girl's favorite DVD along. What might you think a 3-year-old's favorite DVD is? Not
Drop
Andre Rieu, that's for sure. So
I don't even know what that is. Andre Rieu.
I looked him up. He is an Austrian concert violinist. And he looks like, so he is he's very famous and popular. I watched a video that's actually from like, early in 2020. It has over 5 million views. People fucking love Andre Rieu. He looks like a kind of like he looks like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory owner. Like that's who he looks like. What's his name?
Like Willy Wonka? Yeah, Willy Wonka.
Can't remember.
He looks like Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka. My brain is broken.
Like the Gene Wilder, the old school one, or the weird, creepy Johnny Depp one?
He looks like Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka,
the better one,
but with like a perfectly paunchy belly. And so he wears a 3-piece suit and just has this big paunch with this big smile and this like long graying hair. And he's got a very expressive face. And then he stands in front of what looks like a 500-piece fucking orchestra. And then he's like 12 feet in front of all of them. And then he just aggressively plays his violin for everybody. It is fucking fascinating. I don't understand the world of classical music.
Me neither.
If I don't know anything about this guy seems like he is like the Michael Bolton of classical music. Okay. That's what he seems like.
I can picture that.
Yeah. Okay.
Whoa.
So they pop in the Andre Rieu. So we begin the test. accompanied by an Austrian concert violinist. You can tell she's the silent, angry type because she tolerates our setup process, watching Andre while glaring at us both. 10 minutes into her recording, my colleague asks her to close her eyes. We can see brain activity better this way, and this kid loses her mind. She's inconsolable. Her mom suggests she might be hungry, so we offer to pass her some food from her bag, but nope. Mom whips out the boob for this fully toothed 3-year-old. No shade to breastfeeding mothers, but seriously, this kid is angry and has a full set of teeth. I wouldn't want that anywhere near my nipple. This doesn't work, and the situation escalates. Dad bursts into the room, and the kid is grunting and crying, and we can make out that she's saying something between the angry grunts. Can I lick you? This kid doesn't want Andre, doesn't want breast milk. All she wants to do is lick her dad. Her dad slides in, pulls his face mask down, and presents the side of his cheek for her to lick. She gently licks his face and begins to calm down. My colleague and I still laugh about this daily.
Oh, my God.
This is not the only weird and wonderful tale I have. After working in a hospital and for a major tech company in a customer-facing tech support role, you can't imagine what I've seen. And also, there was the time I rode on the tram driven by the famous Melbourne tram boy. But I'll leave it there for today. Thanks for the podcast. I frequently find myself snort laughing in the car on my commute. Always face licks. Caitlin, this is a great story.
Thank you,
I'm
Caitlin.
also fascinated to know that you got to ride on the tram.
Me too.
That the Melbourne tram boy drove.
Caitlin, licking your dad's face, is that a thing? Like 3-year-old breastfeeding, that's not that shocking. That's like, okay, a lot of people do that. Do what you want to do, but licking your dad's face.
Yeah. And also, and I will say, I'm on this kid's side. I was a real weird kid myself.
Famously.
Also, I breastfed until I was 3. You know this, Scotty.
I thought it was
very long joke.
A little later than that. I thought it was older than that.
When I wrote the joke is better, honestly. When I first wrote the joke, I thought I breastfed until I was 5. Oh, so the joke on my first album about breastfeeding until I was 5. And the joke is, not to spoil it, but I also started smoking cigarettes at 10. And so there's a lot more to the joke, so you can still enjoy the joke. But the idea is that like 5 years after I stopped breastfeeding, I started smoking.
Yes.
And no, but then I played before my mom died. I played the clip for my mom, like, hey, listen to this, you know? And she's like, you weren't 5, you were 3. And I was like, 3 is still weird, Mom. You still have a full set of teeth. You're talking in full sentences. You can wear a little suit. I mean, that's still Game of Thrones fucking weird, you know?
Yeah. Man, licking a face. I can't. I mean, I went to junior prom and I didn't go with somebody that had a crush on me, which was very flattering. And I passed out in a ping pong room at somebody's house, like just because I was done with the night. And I'm like, I'm going to sleep under here. I'll be left alone. And I woke up to that girl licking my face, licking the side of my face. Yeah. And she's a mom with 4 kids. And
how old? Junior prom? So that's what, 15?
So I was
16?
Probably 15 or 14, and it was a big house party. It was like an after party, and everybody's kind of sleeping at this big house, and you know, people were doing, I would say, typical suburban high school amount of drinking and stuff, and I kind of was just tired. I was just done. So I knew the layout of the basement, and there was like a workout room that had a ping pong table, and I was like, perfect. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to roll up my JCPenney suit jacket as a pillow and fall asleep. And I fell asleep in a pitch black room, no windows, and woke up to a very strange feeling. And it wasn't the girl that I went to prom with. Oh, it was a friend of hers licking the side of my face, not like my mouth, but like I woke up.
Did
to
you guys
like
start?
licking.
So wait, did you guys start making out then?
No, I was terrified. I was like, I won't say the names, but it was the girl that I ended up dating around that time. It was not that girl. And so I knew she was somewhere else in the house party or around or spending the night. And not only that, but you wake up in the pitch black to anybody licking your face. You're just like, your first reaction isn't
alarming.
like, this is awesome. Your first reaction's like, I hope this person is, I can throw them off of me if necessary. So, but, maybe she was just having a moment.
Just having a moment.
I've never been like, I got to lick a face.
Well, we did it again. Another Minisode in the books. They end quickly, but they start quickly.
Thank you for all your great stories. Keep sending them. Keep reaching out on all our social media and our phone and our email, and letting us know what you're up to. Have a great 2021, everybody, and watch us February 6th on the Bananas Spectacular 2021, a live show.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, Bananas. This has been an Exactly Right production.
Produced and engineered by Katie Levine.
Theme music by Kahan.
And all of our artwork is done by Travis Millard.
You can follow us on Instagram at The Bananas Podcast, where we post stories every day and things that we don't cover on the podcast.
Listen, subscribe, and please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast.
And if you're interested in advertising on Bananas, please email us at thebananaspodcast@gmail.com. That's thebananaspodcast@gmail.com.